Just a comparison of a couple of recently built instruments. This is the Jouhikko that I currently play. It's a simpler one than what I used to play in some ways, but I feel it projects better. The body is just made out of hardware store Poplar lumber. So, I mean, the cheap lumber that people often consider junk, but it makes a surprisingly good instrument. The soundboard is cedar. It was actually a piece of scrap siding from cedar clapboard siding on a local church that was going to be thrown in the trash. The tailpiece is just a dowel held on with cord made from artificial sinew, and the strings are indeed horsehair. I have chosen just to drill simple holes in the top, and there is a bass bar and a sound post, and I know the purists are going to be unhappy about this, but the sound post is glued in place because without having sound holes near it, there's really no way to manipulate it. So this was originally just an experiment to see how the inexpensive materials would work, and I decided this is closer to the sound that I truly want. I'm enjoying this one quite a bit, and I'm going to play a little bit on it and then show you another one that I've recently built that's maybe a little bit more laughable in some ways. So set that down. We'll talk about the bow real briefly. This was made from just a branch from a piece of cherry wood that had been pruned off of an ornamental cherry. Found it in a pile of just rubbish that was going to be composted, and snipped it, bent it in a form. The form was made by hammering 3 nails into a board, so just bend, one nail here, one on top here, and let it dry for 3 or 4 days. Cut a slot in each end and tied a bundle of horsehair, and then I've got a little, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up, but got a little bit of black thread wrapped around to keep the horsehair from popping out of the slot is all. It has turned into my favorite bow, although it was one of the easiest to make. Here's the other instrument I wanted to show you that's literally the simplest Jouhikko I know how to make, and it's made out of what you might consider absolute junk materials. Again, poplar. I just cut out the shape, cut a big window in it, and glued a layer of 1/8 inch mahogany plywood on the back and another on the front. And I did glue a sound post and a very rudimentary bass bar in there, just because I figured why not. It only took a few minutes to do. Glued in place, like I said. Sorry to the purists. This one is not a superior instrument, but it's actually remarkably good for something that can be whacked out in an afternoon. Most of the time spent building this is waiting for the glue to dry. And it's quieter than the other, but let's hear how it sounds. So there you have it, 2 recent projects, having some fun in the shop. I have actually moved away from using fine tuners on the tailpiece when I'm using a flat tailpiece like this. Obviously you can't put them on the dowel type tailpiece of the other one. But the reason I've moved away from those fine tuners is I found that no matter what I did, the horsehairs of the strings just kept breaking at the tuners, and they break a lot less at the tailpiece like this. So it just seems to lead to better longevity for the strings. It might be that I've got an inferior batch of horsehair. It might be that I've got cheap fine tuners. I didn't spend a lot on them. It might be something else that I'm just not taking into account. But while it's a little bit finicky doing all of the tuning with the tuning pegs, it's not that hard. It just takes a little bit longer to get it tuned, and there's a certain satisfaction in a simpler instrument. So if any of that was of interest, if you enjoyed any of it, if you have any comments, I'd love to hear the comments. So feel free to comment below. And as always, have a great day.